Welcome once again, everyone, and welcome to the second session of the Global Azure Conference here at Inspire SA, here in South Africa to be exact. So, firstly, before we even start, I'd like to apologize for the earlier session where the stream just cut. We had unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen troubles that came through. We do apologize for that. Hopefully, we'll catch on what was missed out throughout the episodes coming forward. And yeah, again, just do apologize for that unforeseen circumstances. So without wasting any time today in this session, Jessica and I, let me welcome her. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
Yes, welcome, Jess. Welcome to the second session. So in this session, yeah, Jess and I will be talking about machine learning in everyday life. So we'll be showcasing how can we implement, how can we use machine learning in our everyday life, in our everyday tasks that we use. Basically, how can we incorporate machine learning in everything that we do in our daily lives? That's what I can put it as. So yeah, how are you feeling, Jess? Before we start?
I'm feeling excited because I get to share my knowledge with everyone. So I'm super excited and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. A big welcome once again to everyone joining us from wherever you are, different countries. Welcome to our session here at the Global Azure Conference. Let's get started. So, so let's get started. So the first things first, once again, a shout out to the ambassador program. If you're interested to know what the ambassador program is all about and you want to know what we do, how we do things, etc., find out more information, just go onto our website, microsoft learnstudentambassadors.com, where you'll see everything, all the information that you need, and you even get to apply, as you can see at the apply now button over there. So that's just a shout out once again to the ambassador program. Let's get started. So there you go. What an introduction. And welcome everybody once again to machine learning in everyday life with me, myself, Nasis Mbuyu, and Jessica Randall. Over to you, Jessica.
Thank you, Narcis. So before we get started, we're just going to dive into some terminology and some important things that we should be aware of. Um, so let's get started. So as everyone knows, artificial intelligence is basically it's the intelligence demonstrated by machines. There are exactly five key elements of artificial intelligence. The first one is machine learning. The second one is anomaly detection. And the third is computer vision. And the fourth is natural language processing. And fifth but not least is conversational AI. So I'm just going to briefly explain what each of those are, even though like it's on the screen. So machine learning is it's the foundation for an artificial intelligence system, and basically we teach a computer model to make predictions and draw conclusions from data. So, for an example, is if you have a data set with income and expenses, you can predict your net profit from those values. And then next we have anomaly detection. So basically, it's the capability to automatically detect errors or any unusual activity in the system. And then the next one is computer vision. So it's the ability of software to interpret the world visually. So like through cameras, video, and images. And then we have natural language processing. So it's ability for a computer to interpret a written or spoken language and then respond in that same way. So like you can say something in French to the computer and it will answer the question in French. That's just an example. And then the next one is conversational AI. So it's the ability of a software agent to participate in conversation. And then onto the next section, we're going to discuss how we understand machine learning. So, as you know, machine learning is the foundation for most artificial intelligence solutions. It's a subset of AI, so it's contained in AI, and it uses statistical techniques to give a computers the ability to learn from the environment. So it gives computers the ability to improve on a particular task without being specifically programmed for that task, which is really exciting. And basically, the next big question is what is big data and what is the relationship with machine learning and big data? So, big data is basically when you have like large data sets filled with a lot of information, and you use big data analytics to um, spot trends and patterns. And basically, machine learning helps you do that more accurately and much quicker. And that's how the two are really great together. And that's why you use machine learning with big data. Over to you, Narcis.
Okay. So there's this part how machine learning works. Do you mind explaining that part, or must I go for it?
Oh, sure. No, I don't mind. So, this is a nice example. So basically, you have a team of scientists and botanists, and they collect samples of data of wildflowers. So, like they take pictures of all these different wildflowers. They label all the flowers according to their species, and then the label data is processed using an algorithm. So it finds relationships between the features of the samples and the labeled species, and then the results of the algorithm is encapsulated into a model. And then when the new samples are found by like other volunteers, the model can correctly identify those species that were already labeled in step two.
I see.
And that's how
Okay.
machine learning works.
Okay, that's a really good example of how machine learning works. So basically, the more you give it, the better it becomes. That's what Jess is trying to say in a nutshell. Thank you for that explanation, Jess. Right now, we'll be moving on to how to get started with machine learning, right? So there are different tools and materials out there that you can use to get started with machine learning. There's different types basically. So it depends where you look. So there's Google, AWS, and etc. There's all different types of platforms where you can salvage the machine learning tools to execute what you want and to make your own different models. But now, over the research, over the if you look on the internet, um, machine learning is mostly dealt with Python. So you get your NumPad and all these materials that you use to make your machine learning models. It usually involves Python. So now, not everyone wants to learn Python and like get out of their comfort zone, etc. That's like a lot of work. So we're gonna be focusing on something called ML.net. What is ML.net, right? ML.net is basically machine learning in the .NET platform. So as I said, there are different types of materials out there that you can use to make your machine learning models. And in this instance, since we're talking about Microsoft and Azure, we'll be focusing on only Microsoft products and Azure products, which you can use to salvage your machine learning models. So if you're interested in others, you can go ahead for it. But in this session, we'll be focusing on Microsoft and Azure. So back to ML.NET. So basically, ML.NET allows us to make machine learning models in the .NET platform, in the .NET technology stack, basically. So I don't need to go learn Python. I don't need to go and learn another language just for me to execute my machine learning models, basically. But what I can do is just stick with my C sharp, my C language, right, in the .NET framework in order for me to incorporate my machine learning models. So how exactly does it work? So basically, what I mean, what exactly is machine learning in more exact content? It gives us the ability to add machine learning to .NET application. It's simplified between custom machine learning and automated ML. It leverages technologies such as TensorFlow and Onyx, and it's been proven as a scale and performance. So basically, it's reliable. It's been tested and it's reliable, basically, as if you are using the one in Python. So moving on, what are the types of predictions that we can make using ML.NET? We can make classification, regression, anomaly detection that Jessica spoke about earlier on, recommendations, time series, sequential data, and image classification. So what I mean by classification is basically categorizing things into different groups, either it's negative or positive. Regression is predicting the price of a product over time. Anomaly detection is detecting mistakes, as mentioned earlier on. Recommendation is suggesting certain products based on previous purchases, based on the data, or based on specific habits. Time series forecasting the predicting something over the period of time, and then image classification, trying to figure out if it's a cat or not, or trying to identify what object is in the picture. So basically, that's those are the types of predictions you can make with ML.NET. So how can I use ML.NET, right? There's three different ways of using ML.NET. There's you got the model builder tool, ML.NET command line tool, and ML.NET API. We're gonna see more about these tools as we go jump into the demos. So let's talk more about the ML.NET Model Builder tool. So basically, the ML.NET Model Builder tool exists within Visual Studio. So if you open your Visual Studio, there'll be a part where you can add machine learning. When you select that part, you first start by selecting a scenario. So looking at the scenario and what you want to do, forecasting, sequential image classification, you choose the scenario that you want, you put your data that you want to use, you're gonna allow it to train, and then you're gonna evaluate the model to see if it's what you're looking for or it's ready for use. If it's ready for use, all you're gonna do is just generate the code, and it's gonna and it can make use of the code in your app that you want to use. So that's how we use ML.NET Model Builder tool. And there's a disclaimer with this one: it's only available on Windows operating system, basically. So moving on to ML.NET command line tool, right? So now this one is the same as machine learning model tool, but this time you're just doing it via the command line, right? Instead of using the graphical user interface, you're using it via the command line tool. So now this one, there's no disclaimer. It's available on all different platforms, Mac, Windows, and Linux even. So it's the same thing again. You choose your scenario, which type of algorithm you want to do, and then you put in your data set, and then after that you train it. After it trains, then you get to extract the code from it. It's gonna generate a .NET application for you, and you can make use of the code however you want. So those are the two tools: ML.NET Builder tool and the command line tool as well. Let's move on to machine learning in Microsoft Azure. So that's what we spoke about was locally based on our local computer. So now if we go on to Azure, Azure offers us different ways to also make use of machine learning. There's automated machine learning, Azure Machine Learning Designer, data and compute management, and pipelines. So what exactly are these terms that I just spoke about basically? So automated machine learning basically is a feature that enables non-experts, people who don't know how to code or have no coding background or IT background, to make use of machine learning by simply importing their data, changing a few settings, and then and everything is done for them. All they have to do is just look at the results. So as I reiterate again, all they have to do is just input their data, change some settings, and then look at the results and make use of the machine learning model. Azure Machine Learning Designer is the same for as automated, but the difference is there's a graphical user interface. So now instead of just putting your data and changing a few settings, now you just drag and drop what you want to do. So now this one is for the in between people who have programming background and people who don't have programming background. So it basically involves a user interface for you to choose what you want to do. So there's no limitation. With the automated machine learning, you had to use the settings that were there. But now with the Azure Machine Learning Designer, it's now you choosing what you want to do, not the machine learning model telling you what you want to do or suggesting what you want to do. You telling it what you want to do. When it comes to data and compute management, right? So basically, in order for us to train our machine learning model, we need to use resources like your high resources in order for it to train your machine learning model basically. So it needs high specification machines like 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of RAM, 5 core CPU, etc. All these tools we don't have in our local machine. So now Azure allows us to create those virtual machines in order for us to train the models that I spoke about. And last but not least, are pipelines. So now pipelines is also a form of machine learning where you specify what you want to do. So basically, I want this pipeline to do this pipeline to do that, this pipeline to do that. So basically, you categorize what you want to do in certain steps so that it's easier for you to work with and you know exactly what you're doing. So think of this pipeline like in your household. You have a pipe for the pipes in your house. You have a pipe going to the kitchen. You have a pipe going to the restroom. You know, to the showers, to the bathroom, etc. So now there's a pipe leading, bringing water into the house. There's also a pipe taking the waste out of the house. So now, if there's no water in the house, which pipe would you look at? You will look at the pipe bringing water into the house because there's a problem with that. The same thing as pipelines here in the code. You're just differentiating what you want in different segments, so it makes work easier, and and it's easier to control as well. That's what pipelines is all about. Uh, Moving on. So, what is automated machine learning? Gave a simple definition. It's for non-experts to quickly use machine learning models and make an effective use of it. That's what we said earlier on. When can we use it? So basically, if you need a machine learning model and you don't have time or you don't want to go consult a data scientist, etc., you can simply make use of it. You can make use of classification, regression, time series forecasting, just to name a few of the things you can do. How exactly does it work? As I mentioned, you just import your data, change a few settings, and let the machine learning model train. So this is like a theory, wordly based, but just a graphical representation of what I just spoke about. You just input your data, change your settings, your target metrics, and then also your time, how much time you want it to train for, and then it's going to output these results for you as well. So it shows you all the algorithms that it used and the results of it. The highest one is the one that it recommends that you use basically. So that's how it works. You just input your data, it does the training for you, and then it ranks the results for you, and you decide which one you want to use. So that is automated machine learning, right? So now go to machine learning designer. As I mentioned, right, machine learning designer now is just a graphical user interface that allows you to drag and drop what you want to do. It's same as automated machine learning, but the only difference is there's a graphical user interface telling you what you want to do, or giving you options of what you want to do basically, as you can see in the picture, where we just drag and drop what we want and we just link them up together. That's what it consists of basically. Like just a graphical user interface showing you what you want to do to create your machine learning models. So now, I've explained how machine learning model works. It's basically drag and drop, connect the modules together as you saw, and you it makes use also of a pipeline. So basically, you're creating different pipes, so different segments of what you want to do, so that and you put it all together. Basically, that's what you're doing. We'll see throughout the demo what it's all about, and we explain how it works. So basically, a graphical you use a representation. I mean, a graphical representation of what I just mentioned. So now in your pipeline or on your Azure Designer, you just put certain commands here, certain commands there, certain commands there, certain commands there, and you just join it together, as you can see within this picture over here, so that it makes your work easy, and you just submit the code for it to run. So as I said, this is the bathroom, this is the kitchen, this is the other rooms in the house that supplies water, and they all come together in one. Just have that image for you to understand what is pipeline all about, basically. And then we have ML.NET API. So basically, ML.NET API is for like the advanced people who know exactly what they're doing. So basically, it makes use of the API. What is an API? Just to put it out there, an API is an application programmable interface. So basically, it's a tool or a set of software made by another person, which you make use of what you want, basically. What does that mean? Let me put it into a more example. So think of it like you're in a restaurant and you're ordering what you want to eat. So all the things on the menu is what you want to eat. You just choose what you want. How the food is being made in the kitchen, how the food is being made in the background, you have no idea. All you're getting to do, or all you get access to is just the food you want to eat already prepared. Another example is like dancing. I don't know how to dance, but someone can create a dance API for me, and then I just can import it, and then I can start dancing because I just incorporated the dance API to help me dance, basically. So it's basically tools created by other people, which we just salvage in to make you to implement what we want, basically. That's what an API is in a general concept, basically. So ML.NET API is basically allows you to make machine learning models via the API platform. It's basically going from Visual Studio to Azure to the cloud. In other words, to think of it like that. It's a code first approach. Code first approach meaning that you're doing everything via code. There's no graphical interface. There's no automation for you. You're doing everything via code. You're putting all the instructions via code. And then here's an example of a Python pipeline, as you can see. And then here's another example of a pipeline in C Sharp. So with that being said, it's time for some demos. What will you need for your demo? You will need a machine with Visual Studio, internet, Azure account with Azure credits, and then just a bit of focus and determination. Let's get started. So over here, I have my Visual Studio opened. As you can see, I have my Visual Studio opened. I have my Visual Studio opened. Okay, where's my Visual Studio? Okay, so here's my Visual Studio opened, and now let me just start from scratch. Start from scratch. Close this up. Don't save. Please tell me if my screen is visible.
Your
Okay,
screen is visible.
and okay. So now this is I've opened a console application in Visual Studio. So in order, how do I add my machine learning model? So I simply come here. Uh, Sorry about that. I simply come here by Solution Explorer. Uh, um, okay. I simply come here by Solution Explorer, as you can see, and then I come to um, 1 minute. I'm testing something. Um, yeah. So I come here by Solution Explorer, right click it. After right clicking it, you come to add, right? Add, and then after going to add, you see machine learning model here by the at the end of a day. You just select it. After selecting it, it will show you the template for you to create. As you can see, you can name it whatever you want, and then just say add. I've already added it, so I don't need to edit again. So I'm just gonna cancel it. That's how you add it. I'm just gonna open it again. And after saying edge is gonna bring you to this screen over here where you select your scenario that you want. Like I said, you can do data classification, value prediction, image classification, whatever you want. So for this instance, what we're going to do is what we're going to there's so many disturbances. So what we're going to do is basically we're going to do a recommendation system, whichever one we want. Let me be more specific on what exactly we want to do. Um, just a moment, and then we'll pass it over to Jess. Um, okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a prediction, a forecasting, basically. So forecasting is here, right? Forecasting. I selected forecasting. Um, let's go back. It looks like forecasting is not available. Let's do a recommendation, right? We're gonna recommend something. So now, after choosing your scenario that you want, you're gonna ask you which resources do you want to make use of. So now I'm gonna be making use of my machine. I can also make use of Azure, which you spoke about, but I'm gonna be making use of my machine to train my model. So, where's my mouse? So we go to the next step. Go to the next step. Next step. Where's my mouse? I'm having a glitch right now. Okay, there's my mouse. Next step. So now you import your data. I'm gonna import my data that you want to use. Where's my data? My data is on my desktop. Desktop, AZ, and now we're doing a recommendation, right? So now we're gonna be recommending anime, certain types of anime based on ratings that we've received, basically. I'm gonna put it in. It's loading. So there are different types of ways you can put it in. Um, you can put it via a file or SQL server, and I'm using what I'm using what a file, a CSV file, basically. So we're gonna, after putting your file, you're just gonna choose which one you want to predict, right? Which one you wanna predict. I wanna predict the names of certain enemies, right? The user column, what must it make use of? Um, the ratings, make use of the ratings, and then in item column is your ID, basically. And then after that, you just click next step. How much time you want it to train? 10 seconds. The more training time you give it, the better it becomes. So I'm just gonna make it for 10 seconds because of time. There's even a specification of how much you can train it as, um, which you can see over there. So it's not training for 10 seconds. So now there's an error. Let's see it again. So I never chose something correctly. Um, mm, let's put genre, item column, and rating. Let's just swap it around. And next step. Sorry about this. Okay. I'm gonna sort this out, but I'm gonna pass it over to Jess for her to show you the demo via Azure. While I sort this issue out. Over to you, Jess, if possible.
Thank thank you, Narcis. Okay, so before we get started with machine learning in Azure, you first have to have an Azure account. So I'm just going to show you guys where I go to access my Azure account. So you can just type in Azure and this should pop up, and then you click on Microsoft Azure, get your free account. Um, Obviously, you start for free, and then just note that you get 200 USD Azure credits. So use them wisely. Um, Basically, the Azure credits will like deplete the more you deploy projects. So if you don't like want a specific project, you can consider deleting it from your resource, from your resources. And then obviously you can sign up for your subscription or use an existing subscription. So that is getting into your Azure account. So now I'm going to share with you um, how to get started. I mean, yeah, how to get started. So I'm just going to open up here. Okay, so I'm already in my Azure and I'm in the resource called machine learning. So when you get to your Azure account and you obviously open it, then you in the resources you say create a new resource and then you look for you type in the word machine learning and then this window will pop up over here. So first we're going to build a classification model using the automated machine learning. So as mentioned earlier, the automated machine learning is it's a feature that enables non-experts to quickly create an effective machine learning model from data. So you go to this tab here and then you'll see this lightning sign with like it's like a spiral, and this is automated machine learning. So you click on create, click on here, and then you say create new ML, and then you click on create a data set, and you just upload the data from your local file. So I already downloaded a data set. Um, I downloaded bank marketing. I'm just going to call it bank marketing train 2. Into, and then obviously you just describe the data set. So I'm gonna say the data set contains
You're describing the data set.
yeah. So the data set basically contains all the information of potential and already subscribed people from the bank. So when you when I view the data set later, you'll see that there's the names, the addresses, and then the last row, which is column Y, will say whether they subscribed or not. So this is where you would store your data set. It's called a workplace blob store. But basically, that's the facility where you store your data set in Azure so that you can easily interact with the Azure software. So now you have to select your data set. So you go to Browse Files. I saved mine here. It's called Bank Marketing. And then you click on Next. So it takes a while to pass through the dataset info, but like once you get there, these are like the settings. So these are all the different things that is already like set up. So we want it to be delimited, and we wanted delimited to be a comma, and all of this is right. And we want all the files to have the same headers. See, and then this is the data set you'll see. So now it tells you like the ID, the age, the job, the marital status. This is like a preview of it. And then you click on next. And then we're going to remove the day of the week because we don't really need it in the schema of this data set. So you just um, unclick it and then you click on next. And then you'll see like a summary of all the things you filled in from basic info to schema. So it gives you all the basic info about the data set. So it just gives you the name, the type of data is in a tabular format, and then it gives you the description. And then you have the file settings that I set it as, and then it tells you where it's stored and what file I used, and then gives you the path for that. And then you click on create. So the create should take 5 to 10 minutes, or like even see. So it's all done. So now we're gonna move on to configuring this data set. So I'm gonna go into next. Okay, so we have to create a new radio button. Okay, so once you just gonna click on this. Okay, so now you have to create a data set. So now I'm just gonna give it bank marketing 2 as its name. I'm just and then you just fill in. Sorry, something went very wrong. Sorry, um, something went wrong with my. Okay, let me just try again. So, okay, this.
Um, Jess,
Yes.
you just have to select your data that you wanted to work with.
Uh, okay, this is where I was supposed to. So you have to configure run your dataset. So this is my dataset train 2, and I'm gonna just use an existing um, name for that. So your target column is Y. So that's the column that you want to predict. So once you configure, once all of this is filled in, you just click on next. And then you can see here we working with the classification. We're not going to go into deep learning at the moment. And then there's also regression and time series forecasting. And you click on next. So you want to have a cross-fold validation. You can click. So it's a type of validation. Forecasting only supports k-fold cross-validation. So just notice that when you do forecasting one. And then the number of cross validations, we're going to set it to 2. And then you can decide if you want to test your data set. But for now, due to time constraints, we won't do that. So we're just going to click finish. And then you are creating your new automated ML model. So this is what it's called, like it gives you like a name. So we can't go to models yet because, but this is like the details. So it hasn't started yet. And it'll tell you like when it like starts running and then when it's completed. So it takes a while to for this to complete the process. So as you can see, the status is running, setting up the run, and then it takes a while for the data set to finish those processes. And then obviously while this is happening, we can go to the models just to like explore, but you'll have different types of models when you get to this section. So like once this is like done being set up, then when you go to models, it will show you all the different type of models that there are. That and then you just pick the out. You'd pick the max AB scalar, a light GPM. So just yeah, it takes a long time to run, obviously. So then yeah, so then the next few steps, I'm just gonna explain while this is running. So then you would um, pick the models, the model that you would want to work with, and then you would go to the explain the model, which will explain the model. It'll give you like a new tab will pop up for that, and then you'll get like a graph, and I'll explain it when we get to there, and then we will deploy the base model that Azure comes up
That's good to
in the
hear.
last step.
Will it be possible to show us about automated ML?
Um, so this is taking quite a bit, but maybe what I can do is show you the one that is completed, just because it's taking a while to show. So here's where all the models will show, and then I can view the explanation of this model under explanations preview. So you will have like an explanation ID. Just wait, it's just loading.
So as the data is loading, just was just trying to show us that um, the machine learning models that have come through, it'll give you the results. As I mentioned, it will tell you the best model for you to use, which best algorithm is best fitted for your machine learning model, basically. And what just clicked here is just an explanation of why is it the best one to use basically on your data, or how you can implement it basically. Can you go back to the models page if possible, Jess? Jess, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, just to
So I
back to the
use
model.
this part, and then this. Yes.
Okay, so as we on the models page, there's the different types of algorithms: voting, assemble, and stack, assemble, etc. So basically, the algorithm is basically telling us that voting assemble is the best one to use in our use case, and it gives us the AUC weighted. Weighted is like the result. Is the highest one, 0.948252. 24 is the highest one. That's why it's recommended that we use based on the data set that we just put forth, basically. So that's like how to analyze your data, your data results from your machine learning model, as Jess was just trying to explain. Thank you for that, Jess. Would you like to show us about the automated ML?
This is the automated
I mean,
ML.
machine learning
I can show you
designer.
the designer.
Yes,
Yes.
the
Okay.
designer.
So the designer is actually my favorite. I really like the designer. So okay. So we're gonna go to here, and then under automated ML is the designer. So you click on that, and then you click on the plus.
So it looks like it's loading.
Sorry, it takes a while. Yeah, it's just loading at the moment.
So
But I'm gonna speak about what we're gonna be doing with the designer. So in this demo, we will train a linear regression model that predicts car prices using the Azure Learning Designer. And what we will be covering is how to create a new pipeline, how to import data, prepare the data, train a machine learning model, and evaluate a machine learning model. So, without further ado, my page has happened. So,
So
this is like it's a drag and drop situation. So we go to sample. There's many different options here. So there's data set, sample data set. So to start, we're going to first go to the sample data sets. So they give you data set that we're going to work with. It's called automobile price raw data, and we're going to drag and drop. And then you can right click and you can preview the data, which should show up on the right hand side of your screen. I'm just going to enlarge it so you can see, but it tells you the number of rows and columns. There's 205 rows, 26 columns, and then they give you all the different headings and obviously the graphs associated with those headings. So this is what the data set looks like at the moment. So that is this. I'm just going to center it. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare the data. So I'm just gonna preview the data because there's something there you should see. So if you look at, if you go, I'm just saying, if you look at the data, you'll see if you go further down that there are some missing values in the normalized losses. So we're gonna remove a column from this data set. So in under the components, under the data transformation set, we're gonna select a column in a data set. So you drag and then you drop, and then you create a pipeline to this data set like that. And then you click, and then you go to this edit, and you want for all columns, and then you add, and you want to exclude a certain column, and you want to exclude the column names, and you want to exclude you choose normalized losses, and then you click on save. And then basically what can happen is you can also comment in this. So it's like almost like coding, but like not, but you can comment in what is happening. So I will say exclude normalized losses, and it'll show up like that. So the next thing we're going to do is obviously after like we've removed this column, there's still missing spaces in between the data sets. So we will do cleaning of the missing data. So we'll clean the missing data. So we'll go to the section, sorry, called um, data transformation, and you'll look for clean.
Jess, you can also try searching for it
I'm sorry.
in
Yes.
the section. I was saying you can try searching for the
Okay.
component that you're looking for.
If you can't find it, search for it.
Yeah.
And then you join it, and then you edit, and then you'll choose all columns, and you'll click save. That's like how it would look. And then obviously you can comment. I'm not going to do all the comments, but you can comment on what each component is doing, just so that It helps you understand the process. But for time, I won't do all the comments. And then the next um, thing we need to do is we need to train our machine learning model. So obviously, we have data, and what we're going to do is we're going to split the data. So we're going to split it into the section where we would train the data, and then the next section will be we test the data. So we're going to select for the split data component like that. So the fraction of rows, so this you can change to zero point 0.7 or zero point 0.5. But basically, it's the section that we're going to use for the model, for the training set. So we're going to train, like we will train 50% of this model, but we're going to change it to 70. So we're going to train 70% of that model, like that. Hmm. And that means 30% we'll test the model on. And then the next thing is to note that we use a linear regression model. So if we type linear regression, I hope you guys can see me. Just zoom out. Here's my linear regression model. And then we obviously need to train the model. So it looks like that. So you link the first node, the left node, to this part, and you link the linear regression to this part, and then you edit and you select column names, and we're looking specifically at the price. Let me save it. So this is how our model looks at the moment. So the next thing we're going to use is we're going to use the score model. Um, oh, sorry, I have to stop it again. This- I got cut off. So,
I see.
but basically, the next few sections were you're going to add the score component, score component to the model, which helps.
Okay. While Jess is signing
Um,
in, have you managed to sign in, Jess? Okay. Um, mind if I take over for a few
no,
minutes?
it's still kicking me. It's still taking forever.
Okay, cool. I'll just take over to explain, and then we'll jump back straight
Yes,
to
you can
you.
take over.
Okay. So do apologize for the disturbance of a day. Um, with unforeseen circumstances again. So basically, back to what I was saying with regards to Visual Studio, you come to add your machine learning model builder into your application, as I just did in my console application, and then after that, I get to select the scenarios that I'm looking for with data classification, value prediction, image classification, etc. Right? We selected that we wanted to do a recommendation. So I've selected a recommendation, and then over here, we selected the resources, which environment we'll be training our model from, locally or versus the cloud. So I'm doing it locally on my local machine. What Jessica is doing, she's doing it on Azure. So she had to create a virtual machine, a machine in order for her to train her resources. So I don't need to do all of that because I have my environment already set up, as you can see, right? And then go to the next step. The next step was to import my data. So I can put it as a file. I can put it from SQL Server to get my data. So I put in my data source. As you can see, the location there, recommendation rating.csv. So now I want to predict recommend certain things to a certain user. So I'm recommending anime basically. So now I put in my column to predict. I put rating. I put the user column ID, the user ID, and the item column enemy ID, so that you can predict the enemy to the specific user more specifically. As what Jessica was doing, she predicted the price, and she also predicted the Y column in the automated machine learning as we saw earlier on. So in this instance, I'm predicting the rating. So as you can see here, if I scroll down, you can see the data preview, as you can see, and I'm going to click next step to train my data. So now over here, you can put how much time you want to train it for. I can put it 100 seconds, and etc. So like I said, the more training time you give it, the better it becomes. So because of time, I'm just going to put 100 seconds so you can train fast, and I'm going to press train. Right, I'm going to press train again. We're going to ignore that. It's just telling us to train our data even more for more time. So it's training. So how do I know that it's training? I'm just going to look at my output over here. As you can see, it's training, and you can even see the time completion on top over here. 1 minute 23 seconds. It's training. So that's or days. It's even about to be finished completing. Let me just switch to the screen, zoom out a bit, and boom, look at the results that's coming through. So now the results have come through. It's telling me to use R squared. It tells me the different algorithms that it used, and it tells me which one to use. And then on top of it, it generates the code for me that I can implement in my application. So it's still training, just a few seconds for it to train. But you can see there's some similarities here and there in between from what Jess is doing and from what I'm doing as well. There's a lot of similarities doing the same thing. Import your data, clean your data, select what you want from your data, and then on top of it, train it and then consume it. That's the thing. And then there's this also other one via command line, which I'll show you just now. We just wait for a few more seconds for it to finish training so I can consume it in my application. It's loading 13:10. Just a few more seconds left. But can you see the similarities between our what we are doing, Jess?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So it's finished without any models trained, basically. So I want okay. So again, some mishaps here and there, but other than that, it's supposed to train. Like I said, I'm not training it for a lot of time. That's why I'm having this error. But other than that, it's supposed to train the model for you, and then you just add it into your application so that you can consume it. We'll try and get back to that if possible. But I'm gonna jump to the command line one, right? So here's the command line. So in order for you to get started with the command line, right? How do you get started? So as you can see, I put this code here. .NET tool install GMLnet. So it's so for you to install the machine learning models on your local machine, and you can use it in the command line. As you can see, I was trying to use it. So after I installed it, can make use of different machine learning algorithms basically. So now I wanted to do a regression, right? So over here I say train a custom ML net model for regression, basically. So where's my command that I put? Here's my command that I put. I said users, there's location of my file where I want it to be saved, ml.net regression. I put in my data set cabrise.csv. Let the column that I want to predict, it has headers true, and I'm training it for 600 seconds. And then here are the results of it, basically. As you can see, the results, it tells me the best score for me to use, which algorithm it used, etc., and how long it took. And then it showed me the model explode as well. So these are all the results that came forth. So after seeing all the results, if I go to my file location, I will see that it created an application for me. So let's look over here, refresh, refresh it so that you may see where is it. It created an application for me, regression, yes, sample regression. So there's my folder here. Let me zoom in a bit. Sample regression. Basic. Let me zoom in for you to see. So he created what a virtual a Visual Studio project for me basically. So I'm just gonna open it for you to see. As you can see, it's already created it, even with the console model. I'm just gonna open it to end off my part, so I can pass it over to Jess. It's opening and loading via Visual Studio so that I can make use of it. There's it. It just opened. It just opened. Okay, it's loading. But as you can see, there are different ways of executing this technology, right? You can do it via locally, you can do it on the cloud as well, and you can do it using a graphical user interface. You can also do it using a code, as we just demonstrated now. Jess, have you managed to sign in?
I think I lost everything because it deleted everything that I created at the moment.
Okay. Is it possible just to show them the completed one because of time? We're coming to the end of the session.
Well, that's the thing. Everything was deleted.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool.
I
So
don't know how.
unforeseen circumstances. So my Visual Studio application is just loading in a few seconds. It's just loading in a few seconds. But yeah. So I think we'll just end off with this one over here, as you can see with this one, since just on Jesse's part, it got deleted. There's nothing we can do over there. Um, so even if you sign on to the machine learning studio, it's not be visible.
No, like it doesn't show the names um of the models that I made
I
at
see.
all.
Okay, cool. So I think then I'll just end it off over here.
I don't know if
Um,
it will it sign me up.
end it off, yeah. So yeah, it's loading. But as you can see, I just wanted to show you how to consume your model, but we've shown you how to train your model on using machine learning, and then on top of it, we just have to show you how to make use of it. That's what is just missing. Um, Again, experiencing unforeseen circumstances, which I'm going to end off over here. So, yeah. So, because of time, the session is finally over. Um, we would just like to say, although we didn't complete what we hoped to complete, show you how to train your machine learning model, how to use machine learning in everyday life. Basically, we just showed you how to what we just explained what machine learning is, how to make use of it, the tools that are available to use, and all you have to do is just try it for yourself based on what you've shown. And if you have any questions, you can just like let us know as well. Jess, would you like to say anything before we conclude? Because of time, the session is finally over.
Um, I apologize for my computer not working, and I hope you guys managed to learn something from what we did. And please definitely go try it out by yourself.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining the Global Azure Conference. There's other more exciting sessions to take a look at. Please don't hesitate to go over there and check it out for yourself. Thank you again for joining Narcissus Buyu and here with Jessica. Till next time, see you.